go to Pritchard. Sure. I was driving to downtown Pritchard. He said, no, pull over right here at this closed down churches and walk down St. Stephen's Road. I said, Lord, it's Saturday at 11 o'clock. I said, they're awake now.
Yeah.
He said, pull over. I stopped, put my pistol in my pocket, cell phone in my pocket. He said, nope, leave them in the truck.
Oh.
I said, Lord, I said, these neighbors in Pritchard are different.
God bless the real, holy, raw and real. 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 Church in the trap, God bless the real. Holy, raw and real. Church in the trap, holy, raw and real. God bless the real, holy, raw and real.
Welcome back, man, to Holy Raw Real. It's your boy Jay. Y'all know Rob. And we got a special guest today. Special guest, Mr. John C. Young.
Hello, thanks guys for having me.
And
Yes,
man,
sir.
listen, I'm excited.
I'm more than excited.
Listen,
Yeah.
man, tell us what you're here for, your movement, and what you're doing.
I'm a member of Men United Against Violence. We were founded August of 2022 after 11-year-old LaQuinta Morissette was killed on Memorial Day, and the night before that, 13-year-old Sierra Jackson was murdered on Michael Donald Avenue. People might remember me acting in my official capacity. I did a press conference representing the police department and went off about black men killing one another.
I remember that.
I remember that too.
Some people do remember that. I still have my job, so nobody has to worry about that. But from that, some men in Mobile got together and said, what can we do? So we formed. We don't have a 501c. We don't take donations. We just want men. And as men, we don't care who you vote for or who your favorite football team is. Do you love your family and do you love your city?
Absolutely.
And we did a rally in November, just letting people know we were there and encouraging men. We did a job fair this past March with Austell at Saucy Q Barbecue.
Yeah.
More than 100 young people between the ages of 18 and 30 came up and gave the contact information to the head human resource director for Austell was there.
That's dope, man.
And now our current campaign is Bury the N-Word.
Bury the N-Word.
Bury the N-Word because we realize, as so a man thinketh, he becometh.
Absolutely.
From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh.
Absolutely.
And so somewhere along the line, I think it began with Richard Pryor in the 70s and then culminated with gangster rap music. Black men began identifying as the most disgusting, demeaning, vulgar, vile word ever placed on them.
Yeah.
We went from kings in Africa to the N-word here in America. And it's such a bad word that we don't even say it. We call it the N-word.
Yeah.
So we want to bury it. We don't want it in any music. We don't want it in any movies. We don't want black men referring to themselves that way. And on my way here, I talked to my partner. He's not here. He has a cold. But he said, why don't we call each other neighbors? It begins with an N, ends with an R, has the same number of syllables. You're my neighbor.
Yeah.
There's my neighbor. Because scripture says, how do we treat our neighbor? Same as we treat ourselves.
That's it.
So our movement is strictly motivating men to get back out in the head of the family, their God-given role. And we know with strong black men leading black families, and not to say a white man can't marry a black woman and lead a black family. I'm just saying. But black men need to get back into their families and lead their homes and raise their children. And we can get back to the wonderful days that we had when we weren't killing each other and hated each other.
So question. You have some people that they say the N-word. Like I know a person who says the N-word was originated in I think Nigeria. He, and saying that black folks made that word up. Does it really matter who made it up, or does it matter what it's been used to do to us?
The origins don't matter. Remember the term MFer, they say, was created because slaves would have sex with their mothers, right, and not know it. They put hoods on everybody or something. Can you make that a term of endearment?
Nah.
So you can't take something bad. You can't take poison. I don't care what kind of flavor you put in it. It's still poison. And you can't take a word that regardless of its origin, when it was implemented here in the United States as a demeaning, derogatory term, you can't say it enough for it to mean something loving and encouraging.
Facts.
Impossible. So why not just say neighbor? There's no dispute about it. We don't say the N-word referring to neighbor. You can say it out loud and in public. So it depresses me that we black people have gotten, and listen, I'm speaking to black people. I'm going to leave white people out of it. Even if they caused our problems, we're still our own solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We need to stop making excuses for vile, vulgar behavior.
Absolutely.
We need to say that being black pride is family, education, employment, and discipline.
Absolutely.
Those are great fruits of the spirit. So let's stop this silly idea that we take a bad word and make it our own. Well, if you're going to make something your own, make family a good word. Make that your identity.
Right.
Make industriousness, hard working, patience, kindness, loving, long suffering. Make those your identity. Because as it stands now, what defines black culture is self-destructive. Every aspect of it.
Every aspect.
Every aspect.
Every aspect.
So when do you think we, as black men, started to turn left as far as not just the N-word, but just violence, hating each other? Because in the '60s, it was MLK, right? Marching and we fighting for our equal rights. So when did it turn into that, into what it is now? You got drill music. I'ma kill you, whatever. When did it take that turn?
Easily. In 1970, 69 or 70, the Moynihan Report was created.
Okay.
I think everyone should read it. And the author of it, Mr. Moynihan, predicted that unwed mothers would be the greatest detriment to the future of black families. And he stated if we continued the increase, then I think black children were born 25% out of wedlock. He said if this number continues to increase. So the failure began when the welfare state was introduced. It told black women, you don't need a man in the house and we'll pay you. And it told black men, you can have children without responsibility.
Exactly.
So then the family begins breaking up. And remember, the devil attacked Eve.
Yeah.
It did not become a sin until Adam bit the fruit. Our families failed when black men left, abandoned their family.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when that occurred, then the welfare state takes over and attempts to replace the man. Then feminism tells black women, you don't need a husband anyway. You don't need to shave your legs either. And don't wear a bra.
Yeah.
And then you add after that, in the next decade, gangster rap music came in and gangs became fathers and family. And now in this current situation with the homosexual agenda, that is how we've culminated to the point that our black families have disintegrated to the point that 80% of black children are born outside of marriage.
Wow.
Up from 20% just 50 years ago.
So like I told, we spoke before about the population of America being 13.6% African American, but the population of prisoners, whether inmates, whether private or otherwise, is half, almost 45% black males. What do you think? How? Because I know crime is going to be there. I know that's a whole nother situation that we got to handle as we build up to it. But how do we get black men from wanting to go to jail? And the reason I say wanting to go to jail is because once they've been incarcerated, and once they've been punked in jail, then now that their dignity has been taken away, and I got plenty people who I grew up with who've gotten out of prison and then realized that time has moved past and they done lost everything they had, and now they are the N-word. But now I believe that with all my heart and soul that this is what I am.
Right.
So now, when they were supposed to be getting, education and everything that prison's supposed to be, but it's not. Now they come back out here to the real world, and they can't function, and they end up killing somebody or doing something to go like the guy that shot the people at McDonald's a couple years ago.
That was his second time doing it.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the Bible called it a reprobate mind, where you just lose it. You know what I'm saying? And God had just took His hands off of you. So how do we get our young men to see that that's not the road? Because we are lame as they call it. You know what I'm saying? So how do we introduce them to a better way? Is what I'm saying.
Tell the truth. We just have to be honest. We've played nicely. We've tried programs. It hasn't worked. We need to tell the truth that strong families listen, even when black folks weren't able to marry during slavery, black kids were more likely to be in the home with both parents than white kids were during slavery. If black families were not intact, we would not have survived the civil rights movement. Could you imagine the condition of black families now 70 years ago? The black unity that the husband, wife, and children represented gave us a prosperous, Stone Street is now MLK Avenue. Yeah. Up and down Stone Street, which was Davis Avenue when I was a kid, you had a black mechanic, a black florist, a black grocery, the dollar stayed in Tolmanville. So we just need to tell the truth. I don't care about people, black unity, Uncongawa, black power. Where are you spending your money? Are you robbing the black stores? When they open, are you asking for the hookup? Do you go into these stores owned by foreigners and they say, hey, my nigga, to you, and sell your stale candy and keep your 3-cent change? We got to tell the truth.
Exactly.
We failed our families, black men. We failed. We abandoned our children. It was unusual growing up in Hillsdale during the 70s, where I grew up, to see a family without a father and mother. When my parents divorced, we were shocked. It was unusual, but somewhere along the line, we normalized being a baby daddy. We put prestige on common law marriage. You know, when you talk about black men going to jail at disproportionate rates relative to population, it's because that a child born outside of wedlock is 7 times more likely to be arrested. And with 80% of our children being born outside of wedlock, they're 7 times more likely. That's why there's an overrepresentation. It isn't racism if you actually commit the crime.
Facts.
Right?
Slow down. Wait a minute.
I'm in second gear now.
Slow down. Did you just say it isn't racism if you actually commit the crime?
That isn't racism. Even if a system is set up against you, I've never been to jail. I've never had a pair of handcuffs put on me. I've never been pulled over by the police. I've never been beaten by the police. And I've been black, 52 years.
Long time.
I drove a Cadillac Coupe de Ville in 1988 and never got stopped by the police. I didn't speed. I wore my seatbelt. If I did get stopped, here's my driver's license. I smoked as much dope and drank as much beer as anybody did growing up. But we sure as hell didn't drive around in a car and go to the mall.
Smoked out.
Car full of smoke.
They do that like it's just
like it's normal.
It's normal.
Yeah, and it's not illegal. It's not
that you can't go to jail for it.
It's not illegal.
I'm behind you and I can smell it.
Yeah.
You know.
It's not illegal. I don't think it's illegal.
It's not even right. It's a crime. It's against the law. It's not. So, but what I'm saying is that behavior and mannerisms lead to. Listen. If you don't commit crimes, don't go where crimes are committed, and don't hang out with people who commit crimes, you have a 95% chance of not having a negative contact with police. We aren't telling our black children how to avoid contact with police. We're telling them that it is inevitable that you will have contact with police.
Absolutely.
Instead of preparing our young black men to not fail school, not to need a GED, we always have a but plan for black kids.
We got a but for everything.
We always have an excuse. There's no accountability and responsibility. When our black kids at our major black high schools in Mobile are testing at single-digit proficiency rates in reading, math, and science, that's our fault. Nobody's beating down the doors at Barton Academy.
Wait a minute. So, because you let's get back to...
I'm throwing a lot of information.
Oh, yeah. You just said accountability. That is...
Well, you big.
That's
kryptonite to black folks.
That's a word for me. That's a real word for me, because black men, and I'm talking about just black men, are incapable of holding themselves accountable for anything. We want to blame the baby mamas because she ain't your wife. We want to blame the white man. We want to blame the police. We want to blame everybody but our damn self.
That began in the 70s when the more social programs began created. Remember, black men worked hard to provide for their families, even if it meant working 2 jobs. If you guys have ever watched Good Times, James Evans had jobs all over the place, right?
That man worked that way.
But when black men left the home, they began leaving the room for excuses for black kids not to fail. We weren't allowed to fail. When I failed the 7th grade, I thought my dad would pick me up and throw me through. He's thrown me around for less than that. But it broke his heart because he said, son, all you had to do was go to school. You don't have to work about anything. I said, the teachers don't like me. He said, no, son, you're lazy. He wouldn't allow me room for excuses. He would not allow me to say racism. Well, all the other black kids graduated, and I have the misfortune of having a twin brother who is perfect. I was the evil one. Yeah. But I wasn't allowed to have excuses. He said, son, you're just lazy. And until we start telling black kids, you're just lazy. It's not. Listen, if racism is the worst thing to happen to black people, how do we survive slavery? How do we survive Jim Crow? If racism is the worst enemy of black folks.
You know, we use slavery, man. We still use slavery as an excuse, as a crutch. You know, people say all the time, we was enslaved for all these. Who was we?
Right.
I was born.
Right.
I was born free. Mm-hmm. None of us are slaves.
Here's the thing about that, and spiritually, in 1619, the first slave ship arrived to America. Mm-hmm. We was under a curse. We were, because we still under that same curse because we were a rebellious people. In 2019, the 400-year curse was lifted. I'm gonna tell you how I know. Because spiritually, there's nothing holding a black person back right now. Right now, black people got more business license and more LLCs than anybody I've ever seen.
College graduates.
Exactly, man. Like, there's nothing holding us back right now but us.
Our mind.
We are still, like, they have almost beaten slavery into our DNA, because now we're not in chains anymore. But now this thing right here.
But we still angry about it though.
But why though? Because I'm not a slave.
Exactly.
The only thing that's holding me back from doing anything is me. That's it. So I can't blame. Listen, on my job, I can't blame nobody if I don't get the promotion that I went after. Because if I got beat out of a test of intellect, then that ain't got nothing to do with a racist person or anything else. It just that person got education and everything.
You can't tell an average black man that if they go in the interview and they see a white man there for the same job and he don't get it, we gonna say, well, white man got it. It was mostly a racist thing, right? No, maybe he was more prepared than you were.
He's just better than you.
Yeah,
and that's
not racist though. That's not a racist thing. But we make everything that has to do with black and white racist.
Because we're always looking for an excuse not to succeed.
Exactly.
And listen, because racism exists.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Nepotism exists. Mm-hmm. I know because where I work at. You understand what I'm saying? But again, that doesn't mean that you can't have success.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean.
Exactly.
Listen, this is the honest to God truth. You gotta work, man.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta put in the work. It don't matter. If you want something, if I want to cross the street, I got to move my legs to get to that destination. Mm-hmm. You have to work. Our problem is that, like you said, and this, I hate to say it, but I call them the Crips and the Bloods, the Republicans and the Democrats that sit up there and play all them games. The Democrat Party plays on minorities and tell them, hey, don't work. Don't go get a job. Mm-hmm. Don't be educated. We're gonna give you Section 8. Mm-hmm. We're gonna give you welfare. We're gonna give you everything you. But there's a cost though. There's a cost. The black man can't be in the house though.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good point. So, question: where is your stance on the voting? Like, because I personally, I vote if I see someone who may bring some positive change. Mm-hmm. But over the past number of years, I just don't feel the need to vote no more. Mm-hmm. Because for what? Like, I'm not seeing anybody who's running for anything who stands for anything. Mm-hmm. So what is your stance on a black man voting?
There's so much went into having the right to vote. Mm-hmm. We should vote to exercise our right. If we're looking for change in our personal lives, you're looking in the wrong place. You need to look in the mirror for that. But my father impressed upon us the right to vote because he came up in the era that he had to have a white person vouch for him. Mm. He did take a literacy test. he did experience poll taxes. So I vote out of my dedication and appreciation for him. Now, who I vote for is usually an independent because we know that you get the same thing with the two parties. That you're right.
Exactly.
You get the exact same thing.
Yeah, always vote.
But black people should vote, especially locally. Locally,
this is the thing though. They beat it in our heads. Democrat. Like we don't even take time to see the independents. We don't take time to even see the smaller candidate that might actually really bring forth some change.
Bro, see, if we went down that lane, the Democrat, we like this.
That's another show.
That's a whole nother show.
Right.
Like because they represent nothing that the black look the black family period. Whether I don't care if you ask the average young 23 black dude on the street with his pants sagging, you know what I'm saying, and he's smoking a blunt. You ask him some of the things that the Democrat Party represent. You say, do you represent that? He'll look at you like you're crazy. The same thing, like me and my mom go like, because they is beating the head that the Democratic Party is for us. No, they're not for us. They just play a political game. I call it WWE is wrestling. They get up there, you know, they put each other in the headlock, and we believe it, you know. So that's a whole nother subject because, like you said, it's not even them. That like the ideology that they pumping in our heads is what we got to counsel. But all that start with men. That start with me. You just saw my two sons. If I don't teach them the way that they should go, so when they get out in the street, they won't go too far from it, then whose fault is that? It's not your fault, man. It's not the teacher's fault. It's not anybody's problem or fault but mine. Because if they get locked up, guess who got to come get them out of jail? I do. If they get shot, guess who got to pay the medical bill? I do. If they anything that happens, they're my responsibility. God gave them to me, and I don't put it like me and my wife talk all the time because I got a 13-year-old who's lazy. So guess what? Me and my wife have to tell them all the time. Look here, the teacher's on the problem. You ain't got the starting position on that football team because you're lazy. So it's my responsibility to do what? To work him. To get it in his mind that life is not going to be easy. And let's be honest, life is not easy for a black man. It is some things that stacked up against you, but it's your responsibility to overcome because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to overcome.
We have every opportunity as black men to be successful, and no, it won't be always easy, but we have every opportunity, but it starts with the mindset.
Right.
And you know, like rap music is you know, growing up I love rap music, but it's changing now. It's evolving from, you know, uplifting to saying it's cool to do drugs.
Right.
To you know, to adultery. It's basically it's like it's brainwashing our young men.
It's everything negative. When you talk about catching bodies, we don't even say murder or kill somebody anymore. We've even watered that down. We make songs about it. The FBI convicted a rapper because he shot or killed 5 or 6 people and then put it in a song. And now you have young black men in Mobile emulating that. Now we have young black men in Mobile with guns with these deviations on them, and they made the Draco, the semi-automatic, and now all we have to do to get beef with one another is I make a song about you, make a song about me, and then we go to the park and shoot at each other. That's our failure. You said accountability and responsibility. Raise a child in the way, and he shall return. We're failing that in our black families, in our homes and neighborhoods. When we were growing up, we saw black men. We knew black men when we saw them. That's why we put on our daddy's coats, his suit jackets, because we wanted to be a man.
Absolutely.
Now you got black boys wearing high heels and lipstick. Now you have black boys walking around with their underwear showing in the zebra prints. You know, that's what your wife wear on Friday night after payday. Now you got little boys, you know what I'm saying? But now you got black boys taking on these emulations. They're emulating the feminine qualities because that's they're raised around. They think masculinity is shooting.
Exactly.
They think masculinity is killing.
Exactly.
Because they raise, a man teaches a boy how to control his emotions. Mother's the nurturer. Mom would be the main one when I was going, your son did this. Dad come in there, pick me up, and throw me down 3 or 4 times. And then she come in the room, well, son, your daddy just wants you to do better.
There you go.
Why'd you tell on me? But that's the balance of mother and father.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why we have to reinculcate, we have to make that normal again, even for the, listen, young black man, if you grew up without a mother, I'm sorry. Don't you do the same damn thing. You see how it made you feel.
So
don't repeat it.
We both grew up single mother home. I grew up in Burrsville Project, and the man was absent except when it was time to come and get him a piece. You know what I'm saying? Which, not my mom and dad was separated but not divorced. 10 years it took that to happen. But I remember seeing when we moved out the project, I was 11, and we went into a neighborhood. I remember seeing black fathers. My next door neighbor had his kids and wife. All the friends I had on the street, to be honest with you, when I think about it, had a man in the house. And it was the most weirdest thing I've ever seen, because they would get in trouble from their dads. And they would be terrified. Now, my mom, 5'4", she a firecracker, but I was at 15, 16 years old, I was 200 pounds, what I'm saying? Like, she couldn't hurt me anymore. So so the fear was gone, because the man was missing, because I could get in trouble and she gonna fuss but it wasn't gonna be anything. But my neighbors though, when they daddy came home, you seen the fear of the Lord into their faces, because they knew. And all of those dudes really, like, just one of them ended up going, south, but the rest of them, man, became good people, man, like good citizens, contributing to their neighborhood. Like, it's a couple of them, Fry Park, that have a rally, stop the violence in over there in Fry Park. Like they do these things, man. So it's like, let me ask you this, because we had this, getting back to the N-word again, because that's what we're talking about. I told you, they know what I do. They know, I'm a fire medic. I told them before that I have never seen a black or a white man get killed by a black man. A white man kill a black man in Mobile or in Pritchard, and I've been doing this for 16 years. So all the time, even when I'm out there in the streets now, it's always, when you having a conversation with some of them, they always want to point the finger, and I think it's systemically just, again, our default to want to fault the system or call it racism or anything else. Black Lives Matters, right? But I hate you though. I hate my brother, I hate my sister, I hate my mama, and I say that because every time I go on these things, every time I'm anywhere, it's me killing me. It's never somebody that looks differently than me. It's all, so even when I go out and I take my family out, we go over the Spanish Fort or go anywhere else, we're around different ethnic groups and I'm comfortable. But if I take my family to the mall or anywhere else and I'm around my own people who look just like me, then I'm at my most alert and standing to attention and watching everything when I'm around my own people. And it's because all I've ever seen, even as a kid, now this just ain't working. Like ever since the crack epidemic and gangster rap, gangs and everything else, all I have ever seen was me hating me. That's it.
Well, it's even, man, that's a lot. I want to say, I got to put it together. If you look in Mobile at the number of homicides we have yearly, it would take you, for every white person killed by a white person, there's 7 black men killed by black men. In 2016, I think it was 6 black women murdered by black men, and this year I think we've had 3. Black men aren't just killing each other, they're killing women and children. When you say that about when you see a group of young black men together, it's not our fault. We're not racially profiling. We're profiling who's committed the crimes, these violent crimes in the city of Mobile. The faces that they walk out of the back door headquarters are black men. The faces that are walked by my office to be interviewed are by black men. And when the adult guardian comes, it's usually a black woman, a mom or an aunt or a grandmother. Rarely have I seen a man in these incidents.
Absolutely.
That's the reality we're dealing with, and we have to admit that is the reality to correct it. With the behavior of these groups of young black men, everyone's carrying a gun, everyone's hiding. There's not even real marijuana anymore, by the way. It's all synthetic.
Absolutely.
And there's no telling what kind of chemicals are in it. You don't know what kind of hormones are in the foods that have these interactions. You don't see anyone eating fresh fruits and vegetables.
No.
So all of these things play a role in the nutrition and the emotional development. You don't know if mama's boyfriend is touching on that baby when he's 3 or 4 years old.
Wow.
You don't know if mama's sister is touching on that boy baby when he's 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
Then you put on the television, and what do you see? More violence and more anger and more hate. Then they have these noise canceling headphones that promotes violence and hate. So from the time he wakes up into the morning till the time he goes to bed at night, all he's surrounded by is this violence and hate. So what's he going to do? He's going to emulate violence and hate. When we show up saying love, he's heard it, but love is my pistol.
Yeah.
My mama's boyfriend tells me he loves me when he touches on me. That's why you see boys so affectionate towards one another, and not in a way where we dap each other up, all right, one love, but these guys have their arms wrapped around each other and rubbing on each other's head. You look at NBA players wrap both their arms around each other's neck and put that. I'd be uncomfortable with a man.
Face to face right here.
I don't want to hug my daddy that close.
Nah.
Got a man's lip next to your ear, but they've been desensitized to that.
Absolutely.
So you add into an immature, emotionally underdeveloped man who's confused about his sexuality. He is a ticking time bomb. All it takes is fake marijuana and a dude to bump into him. All it takes is an insult on Facebook or an insult on Instagram. And the worst, right, man, and so the worst, and even worse than that, is rubbed off on black women. Yeah. Black women fight harder than black men with their hands. Black men shoot, black women fight, and they fight like wild beasts.
Oh yeah.
You made runs on women stabbing other women, black women stabbing other black women.
Oh, I was there at the Major Park shooting.
Right! These two gangster women.
Yes, sir.
I'll call them gangster women to be polite. When they are pulling out guns. Now, look at what we've done generationally.
Yeah.
Look at the effects of 3, 4, 5 generations of broken families.
Yeah.
And the statistics speak for themselves. This isn't JY saying he self-hating. If telling the truth is self-hating, I'm number one. If God is spirit and must be worshipped in the spirit and truth, we owe a duty, responsibility, and obligation to tell the truth. And if I, as a God-fearing, professional, heterosexual, proudly serving God black man, can't say to other black men, get yourself together, man. Get yourself together. These kids don't even know proper hygiene. These little girls and boys don't take baths every day or brush their teeth every day.
Absolutely.
They don't know anything. They'll get up, go to bed, run around stanky all day, go to sleep in the same clothes, get up and go outside. You know they are because you see them in the morning. You can't be that dirty at 6 o'clock in the morning.
And go to school that way.
Go to school that way.
Where's the parents at that point?
Exactly.
They're stinky and nasty too.
There
you go.
And so that's my issue, black man. I'm speaking to myself also because I have a duty and responsibility and obligation to represent manhood.
We all do.
So I'm saying we have to do it collectively. I'm sorry that our homes are broken, but the only way it straightens out is us and a government. Blacks in power do not empower blacks. If the elected black officials were going to solve our problems, they would have. But now we had a black president, a black mayor, black city council members. If they were going to solve our problems, they would have now. The best candidate isn't always a black person. It's the person with the best ideas. Our black churches are failing because they keep you in there. They either want to go with every woman in there, a part-time sissy, but they still want your 10%. Not all.
Come on now.
The influence that we have in our black churches used to be our backbone. The civil rights movements were formed in the church. The men wore suits. The ladies wore dresses with gloves. Now you go to a church, the deacon's underwear is showing. The pastor's wearing skinny leg, tight coochie cutting pants on. Got her boobs showing.
Not the pastor.
The deaconess got her tight dress on, 75 years old, wearing a girdle with a blonde weave. The choir director's a sissy, dancing up there twerking on stage. That's what's going on in our church. We failed our families, black men. It's our fault. Every church, I've been a member of Ebenezer Methodist Church and Zion Church, baptized twice from childhood. There were nothing but strong black men in there. Black women were the helpmeet. The black men brought in the tables, the black women dressed the tables with the meal. The black men fixed the air conditioner, the black women brought out lemonade. The black women printed the posters, the black man took up the collection. We had an order. We failed that. You know the only time black people go into church now is for a funeral. We do more funerals.
Wait a minute.
We do more funerals in the church than we do weddings. We more funerals than we do weddings.
Where the organ at, bro? No, you did. I know you
Christmas
didn't say
time
that.
and Easter. Christmas time and Easter and a funeral. We don't even have weddings in churches anymore.
I know.
And they'll drag that drug dealer into that church after he got shunned down in the street. He up there with God. No, he ain't. He died a ranked sinner. It's our job to get him saved, and the only way to get him saved is say selling drugs is wrong. Just listen, when was the last time a white man sold a black man some cocaine? When was the last time you arrested a black man for shooting up a black man's house? When was the last time the Klan committed a crime against a black man?
Lord.
Come on now, tell me now. No. Black folks, tell me this. When was the last time you turned on your television and saw a white man shoot up a black party and shoot and kill a black girl? When was the last time the Klan shot up a car with 3 black teenage girls in it and killed one and traumatized the other 2? When was the last time the Klan shot into a housing project and killed an 11-year-old black boy? You burn Mobile down if a white man acted like that in Mobile. Everybody in Mobile. But a black man does it and you say it's normal? Black Lives Matter when? When a white cop does it, you sit around and wait for the one time a white cop does something to a black man, but say nothing about the 20 black men? Black kids that graduated high school can't read, write, and count? Where are you then? Why aren't you protesting downtown? Where's that accountability? We made fools of ourselves. We made mockery of ourselves. Everyone laughs at the black man. Because the only thing we get mad about is if you step on my J's or how much money I got.
Lord.
Y'all got me fired up in here. Now, I'm lying.
Hey, bro.
Hey,
Look,
if I'm lying, tell me now I'm lying. Call me a liar if I'm lying.
Amen.
Now you know why I wanted you here, though.
Amen.
I told you. I felt it, bro.
Amen.
I'm waiting. Call me a liar.
A lie well.
Right. So if we're telling the truth, you know what they won't put us on BET.
Nah.
What? EBT?
Huh?
They ain't putting us on EBT.
They won't call us to the NAAC round.
No, you know why?
Look,
because you know why? Because we're not in this for monetary gain. I don't care nothing about me. The call that's on my life ain't got nothing to do with me. I know that I'm a servant. I know that my life is gonna be whatever he wants it to be. So I don't care what nobody say.
I'm afraid of God.
I'm that right there.
I'm afraid of God.
I fear him like nothing.
Exactly.
I just told my wife, man, fear man.
Come on,
Man, I don't. What fear man for what? I'm gonna do what he say do, and that's what you just did, and that's tell nothing but the truth and the whole truth. So help me God. That's it. I did a podcast, an episode about the only time we go into a church is for a funeral, and then I gotta sell plates. Man, come on.
Come on now.
I gotta fundraise and sell plates.
You gotta keep them in the freezer 90 days.
I'm talking about they don't look nothing like they sell no
90
more.
days.
They face all mushed in.
Right.
They look like an alien laid in the casket. Cause I did nothing to prepare for this. Man, look, my wife put me on life insurance and had that prepaying burial crap.
That's right.
And I was 23. I looked at her and said,
What you trying to do?
hell, you trying to kill me?
Right.
I ain't been off in the league.
Right.
But she was so proactive.
Right.
Because it was always in her mind. And look, the reasons may have been out of negative because young black men, because I was told I wouldn't make it to 18. I was told I wouldn't make it to 30. I was told I'm 42. I'm like, the devil is a lie then. Like, let's keep on rocking. But we fail each other on so many levels, man.
Yeah.
And it's because of what you just did. Because I want to pacify and
we don't want to stand up, man.
I don't want the truth.
Exactly.
And then you tell me, look, and we don't like the truth. We don't like the truth. What you just did, somebody gonna say, yeah, but.
But it's what you sit on. Dig this. The Lord told me, He made a sign, black men, put your guns down. And I walked on St. Stephen's Road from the 3rd Precinct to 205 Government. All right, Lord, that was all right. He said, well, go to Pritchard. Sure. I was driving to downtown Pritchard. He said, no, pull over right here at this closed down churches and walk down St. Stephen's Road. I said, Lord, it's Saturday at 11 o'clock. I said, they're awake now.
Yeah.
He said, pull over. I stopped, put my pistol in my pocket, cell phone in my pocket. He said, nope, leave them in the truck.
Oh.
I said, Lord, I said, these neighbors in Pritchard are different, Lord. I said, they feel different in prison, Lord.
Oh.
He said, well, I'm telling you what to do. You're going to do it. And I'm still learning how to be obedient, you know, and I'm learning my obedience at this time, man. And I started walking, and yea, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil.
Yeah, because thou art with me.
And each step I took, that was louder, and he sent his angels to minister to me. He sent his angels to minister to me. And I walked down 45 and back. 2 years ago at Mardi Gras, we had just had a shooting, like a triple shooting. And so I had my friend Greg Callahan at ABC Signs, black man, put your guns down now. Lord, I'm going to do it. He said, I already know what's going to happen to you. You just got to trust me.
Yeah.
And I was on duty. I had a crowd control team at Washington and government. Historically, McDonald's has always had problems at McDonald's. Yeah, historically, during Mardi Gras.
Absolutely.
That's the first season we didn't put one person in jail. And I'll tell you our solution to that. We played gospel music. We played gospel music on the corner. We were out there. We took up our ride helmets and interacted with people, but the music, you could see the spirits changing. Those demons couldn't stand around there. We were praising. Everybody on my team was believers.
Speaking tongue.
Our entire team were believers. All of us were believers. And we praised and worshiped the Lord. Right there in uniform. Had other people joining in with us, praying with us.
Wait a minute.
Not one arrest.
Did you just give us a remedy?
I did. Let me tell you about the sign. So I got there, took the sign out. I told my crowd control team, listen, you guys don't have anything to do with this. No, Sarge, we're with you. No, you can't. And my little brother, Blakely Miles, I call him Pac, short for Pac-Man on the movie Colors.
For sure.
He says, he's a tough one. He says, JY, there's no way I'm letting you walk down the street by yourself. I said, well, stay about 10 feet behind me and keep your eye on me. Because I walked down Government Street, down the middle of Government Street, wearing this sign at Mardi Gras, at McDonald's, down to the Social Security office. That's all that's standing there are black people. Walked, turned around, stood up, came back, stood. And when the Mardi Gras procession started by Chief Prine, is my friend, I think the world of him. He looked at me and he said, what are you doing? As he drove by. Well, I stood there with it for the entire parade. People stopped and took pictures. The next morning, Saturday morning, about 10 a.m., he called me. I said, I thought you'd call me sooner. He said, look, you got to help me help you. Don't wear that sign again. He said, I got 3 phone calls this day. And they were all from black people. Saying that what you're saying might be true, but it's harsh. And he said 2 of them were black preachers.
I was told I was harsh last night. 2 black preachers. Yeah, harsh is, you can't be harsh. It's offensive.
What's harsh?
Accountability.
Yeah, and the truth.
Asking black men to stop killing one another.
Yeah.
A black man said black men stop killing each other.
Yeah,
I use my platform as my profession to reach these young black men. And I was told, that's too harsh. Chief, but it's the truth. JY, you knew I was going to call you. Yes, sir. But you did it anyway. Yes, sir. Did the Lord tell you to do it? Yes, sir. Just don't do it again, okay? Yes, sir. But no one called me a liar. No one said it's not the truth. No one said he's promoting falsehood. No one said he's misrepresenting. When I did that interview last year, the blowback I got, black. When I spoke at the council meeting about 4 years ago saying, hey, you guys make a stance and sex publicly, you have the platform and say, hey, black man, stop killing black women. You have the platform. People listen to you. Use your power to reach the people that need to stop doing this. There's a black woman standing next to me and say, John, white people kill white people. I said, but you're a black woman. I'm trying to protect you. We are so defensive when we're called out about our BS.
Yes.
Crazy.
We're so defensive when a black man says, be accountable. We want to be victims. That whole victim mentality that you talked about, that whole bondage on our brains you talked about, Jay.
Oh, man.
We love having an excuse not to succeed. When did we become so lazy?
Yes.
So look, you guys are burying the N-word, right? For good.
We're burying it.
Now, we say neighbors, right? Can we say ninjas?
We're gonna bury that one too.
We're gonna bury ninjas. Okay. I'm just making sure. Because I've seen the ninjas out there. You know what I'm saying? So we got burying the N-word. Y'all can't say ninjas, all right? Because it's too close.
We're gonna replace it with neighbors.
Neighbors.
You're my neighbor.
We family.
Neighbors in scripture.
Family. Neighbors. We neighbors, man.
Love thy neighbor made the top 10, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I have to love. God is love. Love thy neighbor.
Jesus said, love God and your neighbor, and you fulfill all the commandments.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
neighbor, you my neighbor. When as we was talking.
I'm sorry if I keep going off.
No, man, no. I love it because you're only confirming exactly what I've been saying for a long time now. But here's the problem. Here's my challenge and my commitment as well. I want a partner, man. I want to be a part of it.
Wonderful.
Because I tell you this. Because as much wrong as I see, as much crime and hate that I see, I have a privilege that God gave me that you don't even have, and I go inside of their houses in vulnerable times.
Everybody loves firefighters. You're always
vulnerable times,
yeah.
man. So I get to see interactions, and I also get to see that all of them are not as bad as we think.
Mm-hmm.
They missing something, and it's us. That's all it is. Because a lot of them, and you can tell, man, the spirit of moving, and like God is sitting me on them like a pit. And I'm talking about, you guys, like have them come to tears. They got teardrops on their eye.
The conviction of the spirit.
Because they want to be loved. They want to belong. Somebody hurt them along the way. You know what I'm saying? And there's nobody to correct the path that they're going on, because, like I said, when I'm around them, you know what I'm saying? We at the mall, I see a threat rather than my son.
How many kids would all of us have if every house we went to, we saw a child only needed love? We probably have 100. I know half our force would have 100 kids each.
Absolutely.
During Mardi Gras, that one year I had that station, I called several black preachers I know, because I'll go speak anywhere. In some of the places I'd gone, I never charged. And I need to start because it's expensive buying all this stuff. But and sometimes I call them that Mardi Gras season 2 years ago and said, "Come minister to these children. This is the mission field. This is where they are. They're not going to church. They barely go to school, but they will be at the parade.
Absolutely.
And they'll be in front of McDonald's.
Yeah.
Choose any night, preferably on the weekend, especially Fat Tuesday that weekend.
Absolutely.
Come down here. You know how many? About 10 preachers I called.
Two.
One black and one white. Came and ministered to. You know what? Those kids received the word.
Because they're hungry.
The white pastor that went down, that brother said, "JY, I didn't think they listened to me. They want what you just described,
Absolutely.
brother.
Absolutely.
Jay, they want that love."
Absolutely.
We failing, man. We
are.
We failing, man.
Absolutely.
We failing, man.
Look,
We failing.
we are the generation. We the elders now.
Yeah.
It's up to us.
Yeah.
Like our moms and dads, 70s. You know what I'm saying? Or past. You know, like it's on us, and we got to do what they did.
We got to learn how to cook Christmas dinner, and we got to learn how to lead like our family. Mother can't make the dressing anymore.
Nah, man. Nah.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
and Daddy can't go in the room like he used to.
Yeah.
It's up to us, bro.
Yeah.
I'm dedicated. You guys have my commitment.
Yeah.
Hey, and you got.
I'll stand shoulder to shoulder with you.
This is what we do, man.
Yeah.
This is it.
This right
because if we don't do it, and what's crazy is we was fighting oppression before. Now we fighting ourselves.
Right.
Absolutely.
Literally, and I mean I fight myself. You fight yourself. You like we are fighting flesh, and we're fighting what they've told us our culture is, because it's not our culture.
It is not.
It is killing each other and all this that's going on. That is not our culture. I'm not going to even say that. I tell you this. You have my commitment. We doing. Y'all doing Bury the N-Word.
Yeah. We're doing it at Hope Chapel this Sunday, the 10th. Hope Chapel is in Whistler, Alabama. Pastor Jamal Finkley at 11 a.m. We're going to have a church service, a celebration. This is the one time there won't be any tears cried at a funeral. We're doing a celebration of burying the N-word, but not just the N-word, the B-word, the whole word.
Yeah.
Any of those derogatory terms that we refer to ourselves, we're going to bury them, put them in a box, and pour dirt on it and bury them. That's 11 o'clock this Sunday the 9th, and then on Monday the 10th, there's a billboard at Michael and Azalea. I encourage everyone to go by and take a picture of it, post it to Facebook, and then meet us there Monday the 10th at 6 p.m., and we're going to have another burial ceremony.
There you go.
We're inviting all the brothers and all the sisters to come out. If you know that this word has caused us harm and you want to bury it, and then take a pledge not to use it.
Right.
Not just say, we're not just going to put it there symbolically, we're going to stop using it.
Yeah.
We're going to replace it with the word neighbor.
Neighbor.
And so
Discipline.
Facebook page, I got someone we can follow y'all.
Men United Against Violence. I'm bad at keeping up with it. Big M, Mitchell Slaughter, is supposed to do it for us, and he's worse than I am. He's 30 years young. I said, man, you're a young guy. You're supposed to be on Facebook all the time. But he does as much as he can, and we try to keep it up to date.
Okay.
Men United Against Violence in Mobile. I always give my personal cell phone number if anybody wants to contact me, 251-513-4179. And if you have any questions, if you need me to meet you somewhere, I don't have a problem with it.
My sister did a Bury the Bully program with PD and in the school system, and she it really, man, she had them kids, man, in tears.
Right.
Man, they just looking for love.
They want it.
They just looking
Every
for love.
person is born with an inkling of God, and God is love.
Exactly.
And that's in them. And when you see these black boys trying to be hard, but they have these tears, it's that they know it's a front.
Exactly.
They just don't know how to let it out.
Exactly.
So,
and if you walked up to one of them and embraced them, they would. I'm telling you, man, they break.
no, man. No,
Exactly.
no, man. No, man.
Exactly,
No, man.
man.
Because they've never been taught that a man's emotions are.
Exactly.
Our emotions run the gambit. And we've allowed black women to take over our role. And they can't. Listen, a woman can't even tell a boy how to use his zipper.
No.
All a woman uses her zipper for is to zip those too tight jeans on.
Absolutely.
We use our zippers are functional.
Exactly.
So I'm just calling us out, brothers. Hey, let's be better examples of men. That's it. Real men.
Real men.
Not these
Real
tinky
men.
winky modded. Don't be like John Moran or what's the guy's name married to the lady that's cheating on him? Will Smith. Don't be one of those guys.
Yeah.
Don't be that kind of man. Yeah, right. Don't be that kind of man.
Nah. Look, what's sad is Ja got a dad in his life.
Yeah.
That's what's sad.
Does he really?
Yeah. That's what's sad.
So he's so brainwashed. He wants to be. He left. He never was in the hood, but he wants to be. He's hanging out with drug dealers because he wants to be black.
But look, we can end with this. But you can't be your children's friend.
Right.
And his daddy, with the money and everything else, I'm gonna be your partner.
Yeah.
Instead of lead you. Still, because I got an adult child as well, who I still have to advise, and you never stop being a parent.
Right.
You never stop teaching your children.
Too. LeVar Ball.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of flack, but that man has been he's a great father, man.
You know what?
He's a
He's a present father.
Yeah, he's present.
And his sons are still in the NBA making millions of dollars. So he's done a great job. Yeah.
Family, education, employment, discipline.
Exactly. Yeah. And he took an unconventional route. Yeah, like he didn't play along with the lines of normacy, at all.
Yeah.
But we'll make he loud. He need to stay out of his church business. He needed this. Nah, he need to stay exactly where he's at. Yeah, like forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're supposed to be there forever.
Facts.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We gotta get you back, man.
Yeah,
I'm a phone call away, brother.
Hey, listen,
I'm a phone call
hey,
away.
we gotta get you back.
Right now was Holy Raw Real.
Absolutely, man. We gotta get you back.
Real.
We gotta get you. And this is our mission, man.
Right.
It's Holy Raw Real is the righteous, uncut truth. That's what it stands for. And I'll lose my job over it. How about that?
Oh yeah. You gotta stand on the stand on the word.
I don't care what nobody say.
Got to.
And they can't shut me up. Like, no. Man, we gotta go.
We can go on and on. We can go on and on.
Listen, before we go, I got a question. Do you think absolute freedom, and we have freedom, do you think that it has become an enemy to our people?
I don't understand.
Because we don't have a united enemy anymore. And during the civil rights time and coming up along, we had black people had a united enemy. Now you can call it, white oppression, or you can, civil rights. You can call it whatever you want to, or identify that enemy however you want to identify it. But when we had a common enemy, we were goal oriented as a people because we had a common enemy. But now that we have freedom, has freedom become a crutch? Has freedom become what's making us lazy and not progress the way that we should progress?
Yes, I understand exactly. There's a photograph of a slave child, maybe a toddler baby black girl, standing in front of a gate. This gate was closed and this gate was open, and she chose to stand in front of the gate with the bars because she had been conditioned to be behind bars. We have conditioned ourselves to always need someone to speak for us. King did his job. He served his purpose. Just like Christ served his, is now our objective to follow Christ's lead. We should follow King's lead and stop looking for the common. Our commonality is that we need stronger families to lead us forward. Yeah. We're always looking for someone saying to follow me when it should be individual men. So yes, that idea that we have to unite for that enemy. Well, when you run out of them, you got to create them. And now we've created one, and the monster's out of control because look at what systemic racism and hatred created Black Lives Matter, which took more advantage of black people along with everything else. As long as you're constantly looking for someone to speak for us instead of speaking for ourselves, black men, we'll keep running in circles. We'll be in that wilderness 40 more years until we die. And then our children who have been under this demonic system will do it for 40. And each generation gets worse until our homes aren't even discernible anymore.
Hey man, this been Holy Raw Real. Listen, subscribe, like, share this, man. Hey, go to the webpage. Yeah. Come out, man.
One last time you said this Sunday, right?
This Sunday.
Hey, come
Hope
out.
Chapel in Whistler.
Come out.
Please do.
God bless the real, holy, raw and real. God bless the real, holy, raw and real. God bless the real, holy, raw and real.